The Arctic is a land that does not forgive easily. Ice stretches beyond the horizon. Darkness lingers for months. And survival depends on understanding forces far beyond human control. For the Inuit people, the sea is alive with spirits. The animals hunted for survival are not simply prey. They are sacred gifts granted by powerful beings beneath the water. Among those beings is Sedna, the great goddess of the sea. But Sedna did not begin as a goddess. She was once human, and the man responsible for transforming her into the ruler of the ocean was her own father, a figure both feared and respected in Inuit mythology, a man who guides the souls of the dead through the underworld, a being who waits in the dark land beneath the sea. Tonight, we explore the myths of Anguta, creator, ferryman, tormentor of the unworthy, and one of the most complex figures in Inuit mythology. Hello, and welcome back, witches and wanderers, to the Morbid Witch Podcast. Tonight, we travel far north into the frozen landscapes of the Arctic to explore the mythology of the Inuit people, a culture shaped by survival in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Inuit mythology is deeply connected to nature, animals, weather, the sea, and the spirits of the dead, all form part of a delicate spiritual balance that governs life in the Arctic. Among the most famous figures in Inuit mythology is Sedna, the sea goddess who controls the marine animals hunters depend on for survival. But behind Sedna's story is another figure, one whose role is often darker, stranger, and far less understood. That figure is Anguta. In some myths, Anguta is Sedna's father, the man who mutilated her hands and cast her into the ocean, unintentionally transforming her into the powerful sea goddess. In other traditions, Anguta is not merely a mortal father. He is a creator god, a supreme being who shaped the world itself. And in still other versions, he is the ruler of the underworld, a psychopomp who guides souls to the land of the dead. Tonight we'll explore the many faces of Anguta and the role he plays in the spiritual universe of Inuit belief. Because Anguta is not simply a mythological character. He is a symbol of the harsh realities of survival, death, and balance in the Arctic world. Inuit mythology developed across a vast region, stretching from Alaska to Greenland, shaped by thousands of years of life in the Arctic. The environment itself is central to these stories. Food sources were unpredictable, weather could turn deadly in minutes, and survival depended on cooperation between people, animals, and the spiritual world. Because of this, Inuit belief systems emphasized respect for animals and spirits. Hunters were expected to follow strict rituals to show gratitude to the animals they killed. If those rituals were ignored, the spirits governing the animals might become angry, withholding food and bringing famine to the community. Many myths revolve around maintaining harmony with these forces, and few figures embody that delicate balance more than Sedna and her father Anguta. In the most widely told myth, Anguta is the father of Sedna, the young woman who would become the goddess of the sea. The story begins with Sedna living with her father in a coastal village. As she grew older, many men sought to marry her, but Sedna rejected them all. Some versions say she was stubborn. Others say she feared leaving her home. Eventually, a mysterious stranger arrived, promising wealth, comfort, and a good life if Sedna would become his wife. Sedna agreed and left with him, only to discover that the man was not human at all. In many versions of the myth, he is a bird spirit, sometimes described as a petrel or other seabird. Instead of the luxurious life she had been promised, Sedna found herself trapped on a remote island, living in misery. Cold, hungry, and frightened, she cried out for her father to rescue her, and eventually Anguta came. Anguta arrived by boat and took Sedna away from the island. But as they sailed home, the bird spirit husband discovered her escape. Enraged, he summoned a massive storm. Waves crashed against the boat. Wind tore across the sea. Terrified, Anguta believed the storm would destroy them both. And in his panic, he made a terrible decision. To save himself, he threw Sedna overboard. Desperate to survive, Sedna clung to the side of the boat. But Anguta, fearing the storm would continue unless he sacrificed her, took his knife and cut off her fingers as she tried to climb back in. One by one, her fingers fell into the sea, and something extraordinary happened. Each finger transformed into a sea animal. Seals, walruses, whales, all the creatures that Inuit hunters would depend upon for survival. Sedna herself sank into the depths of the ocean, but she did not die. Instead, she transformed. She became the powerful ruler of the sea. The story of Sedna is one of the most important myths in Inuit tradition, but Anguta's role within it is complex. He is both the cause of her suffering and the catalyst for her transformation into a goddess. Some interpretations see Anguta as a symbol of the difficult choices people must make in desperate circumstances. Others view him as a tragic figure whose fear led him to commit an unforgivable act. But regardless of the interpretation, his actions changed the world forever. Without Anguta's betrayal, Sedna would never have become the goddess who controls the animals of the sea. And without Sedna, the balance between humans and marine life in Inuit mythology would not exist. In some Inuit traditions, Anguta is not merely Sedna's father. He is something much more powerful. In these versions of the myth, Anguta is considered a creator deity, a supreme being who helped shape the world and its spiritual order. This interpretation places him among the highest figures in the Inuit cosmology. Rather than simply being a flawed human father, Anguta becomes a divine force, responsible for guiding both the living and the dead. Such variations are common in oral traditions. Stories shift over time, adapting to different communities and interpretations. As a result, Anguta's identity varies depending on the storyteller, but one role remains remarkably consistent across many versions of the myth: his connection to the land of the dead. In many Inuit traditions, Anguta serves as a psychopomp, a guide who escorts the souls of the dead into the afterlife. When a person dies, their spirit travels to the underworld, a place known as Adlivun. Adlivun is not immediately a paradise. Instead, it functions as a transitional realm where souls must wait before reaching their final destination. And at the center of its realm sits Anguta. He ferries the souls of the dead and watches over them as they adjust to their new existence. But the journey through Adlivun is not instantaneous. Souls must remain there for 1 full year. During that time, they sleep beside Anguta before being allowed to continue onward. After spending a year in Adlivun, worthy souls are allowed to travel to Kudlivun. Kudlivun is a realm of warmth and happiness, a place where food is abundant and suffering no longer exists. In many ways, it represents the ideal environment for people who live their lives in the harsh Arctic world. But not all souls are allowed to reach this place. Those deemed unworthy must remain in Adlivun. And here, Anguta becomes a far more terrifying figure. In certain versions of the myth, souls who lived dishonorable or immoral lives cannot leave the underworld. Instead, they are forced to remain with Anguta, and Anguta punishes them in a strange but memorable way. He pinches them endlessly. This may sound minor compared to other mythological punishments, but in Inuit storytelling, the punishment is constant and relentless. The souls are trapped with him for eternity, enduring a painful reminder of the life they lived. This role turns Anguta into both judge and guardian of the dead, a figure who ensures that balance and justice exist even after death. Anguta represents several powerful themes within Inuit mythology. He embodies the dangers of fear and desperation. His betrayal of Sedna shows how survival can push people toward terrible decisions. But he also represents the passage between worlds. As a psychopomp, he stands at the boundary between life and death, between the human world and the spiritual one. In a culture where survival depended on respecting the natural world and the spirits within it, Anguta served as a reminder that actions have consequences, both in life and beyond it. Anguta is not an easy figure to categorize. He is a father, a betrayer, a ferryman of the dead, a possible creator god, and the gatekeeper of the afterlife. His story is intertwined with Sedna's, and through her transformation, he becomes part of one of the most important myths in Inuit tradition. Together, their story explains not only the origins of the sea animals that sustain life in the Arctic, but also the journey every soul must take after death. Thank you for listening to the Morbid Witch Podcast. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, you can listen to the show on Spotify, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. If you're listening on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, like the episode, and leave a comment. And if you're listening on Spotify, please consider leaving a rating for the show. It helps the podcast grow. Until next time, stay strange, stay spooky, and remember, the shadows are always watching.